Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday School with Doc. This is an invitation to deepen your practice on and off the mat. I see some new faces, and there are some beautiful faces behind the screen as our yoga teacher trainees are in this room. But there's some new faces here virtually. I'm super excited, and some returning faces. I am always interested in where you're joining us from. So please type in the chat what city and state you are tuning in live for Sunday School. Clinton, Laurel, another Laurel, whole bunch of Laurel. Okay. Bridget from Williamsburg, Glen Burnie, Maryland, Laurel, Maryland, Greenbelt. Awesome. Another Laurel. Everyone's in Laurel. Okay, great. I know we have some Jersey folks who'll be joining us shortly and some Cincinnati as well. So we'll see them and also some Boston. So excited that everyone is here. By now, I'm guessing that you received this link because you tune into Sunday School, right? Sunday School is a practice that we've been doing for about 2.5 months. This is our third Sunday School. And I'd like to give this opportunity for us to meet virtually to connect and take it off the emails and into the screens. So as I get started, I wanted to connect with folks and let you all know that we have some cool things coming up, especially within this contemplative space. And I wanted to introduce you to our new Insight space. The Insight space is our newest meditation only offerings, and we have a really great meditation only membership. And for more information, you can see it right there on the screen. But here's some of the classes that we have. We've offered some new practices, including evenings, midday, and weekends. And if you have time right afterwards at 10 a.m. is our meditation and spiritual teachings led with Sean. So if you take a screenshot of that, I'll show it at the end, but always excited. If this sits with your spirit well and you find this practice to be resonating, then I believe that you would enjoy our daily meditation practices. So would love to have you. So this week, we are focusing on the power of the pause. This month, we've been going inward. And when we think about pausing, sometimes the most healing thing we can do is pause. The world tells you to keep going. Sometimes you tell yourself to keep going. Your family may tell you to keep going, but your body, your mind, and your soul, they're often asking for something different. That's stillness, that's slowness, and that is a space. So this week, we are exploring the sacred pause, not as a delay, but as a doorway, as a threshold to what's next. And I would like to pause there when we think about pausing, because a few months ago, this came into conversation about rest. And pausing and resting are actually different things. Pausing is short term and it's intentional. Resting is longer and restorative. When you think about pausing, it's really like a brief interruption during action, and that allows you to reflect, to reset, or shift your awareness. That pausing can look like active listening. It can look like tuning in. It's really a gateway for clarity and decision making. If you think about pausing, think about maybe when you take a deep breath before responding to someone or something, right? That's a pause. It's intentional and it's short term. On the other side, rest, which is equally important and just as beautiful as a practice, is longer, it's restorative, it's about recovery, nourishment, as well as helpful for your nervous system. It does involve a deeper sense of letting go and surrendering, and that can look like physically, emotionally, or spiritually. When you think of resting in a class, that looks like Shavasana. So pausing and resting are super important, but they're also different. And as we focus on the power of the pause today, look at it not as a delay, but as a doorway to what's next. So there's a few things I always ask folks if you check the emails too. I have a section that says suggestions, right? Always create a space that feels supportive. So if you're at home, sitting on the floor, wrapping yourself in a blanket. If you're in studio, sitting on the floor, wrapping yourself in a blanket. If you have incense, a nice candle, cup of tea. Breathing deeply, especially as we turn into our breathwork practice. Turning off your phone, stepping away from noise, And writing freely. This practice is not to be led in with judgment. It is open thoughts. It is a free write, free space for you to connect with yourself, and especially for pausing. So try not to think too hard because this is freely writing. So we want to give you permission to sit and permission to pause. And I found that the most effective way to really explore this practice of journaling or contemplative writing or reflective writing is to sit in stillness and in breathing. So let's all get comfortable wherever you are, whether you're seated, whether you're reclined. We're going to practice what it feels like to sit. We're going to practice what it feels like to pause. So get yourself situated, get yourself together. If there's anything that you can do in your body that helps you feel a little bit more comfortable, grab those things. Because as we give ourselves permission to sit, we also give ourselves permission to pause. And breathing allows us to connect in, to check in, and examine what's the pace? What's the tune? Where is my body? And where are my thoughts? So let's begin by releasing the tongue from the roof of the mouth, softening the jaw, and relaxing even those tense spaces that reside between the eyebrows, maybe any tension you're holding in the neck, the shoulders, the knees. Engage deeply with your breathing by noticing its pace, its rhythm, relaxing the shoulders, drawing them down the back, noticing any sensations in the fingers and the toes. And take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and a nice breath out through your mouth. And again, breathing in, sipping in air, expanding the belly. This time we pause, and now we release. Honoring that sacred pause, we'll continue these breathings as we breathe in for 4, hold it for 3, and exhale for 4. Let's breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause for 3, 2, 1. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll lead you one more time and then you'll continue on your own. Breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'd like for you to engage with this breath on your own at your own pace. And it's perfectly fine if the 4-3-4 or the 4-6-8 does not work for you this morning. Only focus on your breath. Maybe even noticing the beat of your heart. What is your breath trying to tell you at this moment? How necessary, how needed is that pause? As the pause is short term and intentional, it reminds you what you're doing. because breathing happens so frequently, so often, so naturally, we don't often know how we're doing it. But as we focus on the pause this morning, that pause reminds you that you're alive. So give yourself permission to sit. Give yourself permission to pause. And we'll spend another minute here at your own pace, pausing in stillness. Slowly begin to bring awareness back to your body, back to your breathing, and take a pause to observe how your body feels. Maybe you feel a little bit more clear. And go ahead and grab your writing items because we're headed into our reflective writing piece. Maybe take a sip of water, sip of tea. And as we are sitting and pausing with this concept, it's important for us to be grounded, to be connected, and to be intentional about these pauses. Only 30 minutes a day that we have in this space here, so much can happen with intentional space that's given. So the first set of prompts, I ask you, when do you pause? If you think about, that was about a 3-minute practice that we had. And when you take a moment to reflect, how often do you pause? Not scroll, not plan, but pause. What emotions or thoughts come up in stillness? And then what keeps you from slowing down and what might help you reclaim that space? Now, granted, we don't have all the time to answer all of these three, but I've designed Sunday School so that you can reflect throughout the week. So there's 3 questions here. Spend some time on one of them today. And so I like to give us about 5 minutes in reflection and writing. So take your time. When do you pause? Jot it down and write freely. Taking another few moments to try to close out those thoughts, but remembering that you can always return back. We're just getting started. These prompts are here for you every Sunday, and I'm always just in gratitude to see the folks who connect with it. Sometimes you don't know if people are reading, and so connecting here on Sundays allows me to match names to faces and make space to explore deeper. So thinking about this prompt, I'm curious, out of those three questions, type in the chat if them bulleted as 1, 2, or 3, which one resonated with you today? How often do you pause? That's number 1. What emotions or thoughts come up in stillness? That's number 2. And what keeps you from slowing down is number 3. Type the number in the chat and the folks in the room. Which one? Okay. 3s and 1s. Any 2s? Okay. In the chat, 2s, 3s, reign supreme. And there's a tie between 2 and 3, it says. Okay. Oh, some 1s. Okay. Hi, Adrienne. Hello. Okay. So next up is the second order of the prompts, and that is pertaining to rewriting the pause, because there's always a chance to rewrite your story. The thing is that you got to believe the story that you're rewriting. And even though you rewrote the story, that doesn't mean everybody read those pages, right? But when you rewrite it, you have a chance to start over. But it's also about your outlook. So what if pausing wasn't lazy, but what if it was sacred? And next, what kind of rest or reflection do you need right now? At this moment at 9:20 Eastern Time, what kind of rest or reflection do you need right now? And then how can you honor it this week? Remember, we said that that pausing is short-term and intentional. At this moment right now, how are we intentionally guiding our week, thinking about what type of pause you need to sustain? We'll spend about 5 minutes here, and I'll bring us back. little under a minute remaining for this segment. But remember, you can write about this for days, I'm sure. Just take your time. Try to seal up those thoughts. How can you honor it this week as you rewrite the pause? So checking in again from those two segments, which one resonated with you at this moment? What if pausing wasn't lazy but sacred is one? And what kind of rest and reflection do you need right now? Number two. Type in the chat. I find too is that those two questions present two different lanes. One gives you an action plan, the other literally has you pause and think. And I invite you, I implore you, if you went to the second one, then come back to the first one after this, because that is the plan in motion that you set, because you're making it sacred because it's your intention that you're putting forward. This pause, rewriting, knowing the difference between pausing and resting. I know when I mentioned earlier about pausing in the middle of a conversation or pausing before you speak, that resonates. And think about how much better your response, even emotional regulation, your breathing can change. And as you rewrite this story, it's not for everyone to understand or to read. That pause is for you, even in the middle of things, that reboot, that recharge, that reset to reframe. Those are sacred moments that people are watching and observing. And then that gives them permission to do the same. So we'll begin to close out this container by breathing with cleansing practices, as pausing is both intentional and grounding. So may you continue to hold space for both of those. And as we come back to our practice of intentionality, let's come back to our breath, but this time practicing what we call a mindful sit. And if you join us throughout the weekday and evenings, we do have this component as part of our schedule, sitting. No need to be guided, no conversation about it, simply sitting with yourself. So sliding the notebooks aside, relaxing the shoulders. For some of us, we like to keep our eyes open. For some, slowly lowering the gaze. And we'll sit for 1 minute. Deep breath in, cleansing breath out. For these next few moments, I invite you to examine your breathing and absorb the goodness that you are, what you've written, and your intention. I always like to say the exit is just as important as the entry. And just as much as you don't abruptly begin things, you don't abruptly close them. You want to let it marinate. Enjoy it. So collectively, let's breathe in deeply together and breathe out, cleansing, refreshing, grounding. Begin to bring your hands together, creating a sense of warmth between the palms. And with that energy that we're creating, cultivating, place those hands somewhere on your body that makes you feel the most connected and grounded. And then breathe into the weight of your hands. Pausing is both intentional and grounding. I thank you all for joining me this morning. And if this resonated with you, I always like to share the dates. We're here again on June 22nd and the following dates. And lastly, if this is resonating with you, if you find that this practice or taking these moments to pause was beneficial, then I encourage you to join us in community with our Insight space. We have some really cool offerings, and I mean cool because I believe our practitioners are pretty dope. We hold space in beautiful ways and in different ways. So from meditation to inner wisdom, to loving kindness, to our midday pause, to our evening sound baths, to even a Saturday morning journaling session that we've added, pull up. We'd love to have you. And if you are still on this vibe, you want to ride this wave, join Sean at 10 a.m. He's online right now. He'll be happy to have you. And for more information, keep checking y'all emails. I love to see you connect. And until we meet again, folks, Sunday school. Peace. Hey.